Data is exciting part. You can get customer sites, you can build new business strategies just based on your data, right? So there's so much fun you can have as a business or technology person. But to me, again, if that data does not have actionable part of the business process or organization taking action, like you mentioned, all right, all the beautiful strategies and fabulous data sources, not gonna help. So how do you see this evolving? Because again, one thing to understand and to make a decision, another thing to really transform your business and drive it differently.
Oh, of course. And do you know what's worse than not making those decisions and not handling that data? It's making those decisions based on the wrong data. So for me, it's really about organizations getting that data foundation right. Okay. So again, we look at this like as if you're building a house. Okay. Without that foundational layer, if you're building your castle on sand, then your castle is going to be under sea very quickly. And it's very much the same when you try to build out a data strategy and start to be forward thinking. Okay. We really need to make sure that our house is in order, so to speak, and that foundation is really set. So some of this is, like we say, understanding where our data is coming from. Now, I've spoken to many organizations that can't tell me where their data comes from. There's so many data sources. Nobody has an inkling in terms of documenting and cataloging all of those data sources. And then what's that data being used for? Is it in the correct shape? Is the quality correct? Are we missing any data? Can we enhance that data with external data? These are the types of questions that we should be looking at answering in terms of our data strategy. It's not something that you're going to conceptualize and execute on all at once, but you can start to be forward thinking. Now, again, with what we've been through, unfortunately, over the past few years with COVID, it's a good example because we have what we would see as skewed data. Okay, that what happened with COVID, we hope, would be an anomaly, which means that anybody going to do year on year or prior year parallel period reporting will find that their numbers just won't make sense. Okay, so with that being the case, how far do we need to go back with data? Is it 3? Is it 5 years? And all of these questions need to be answered by key business stakeholders to start to build that lay of the land, so to speak, in terms of what the future state looks like.
In many, I would say, professional roles, okay, we hear for last how many years we are data-driven organization. Okay, this became a cliche, right? So it's not a new news. Everyone at least pretending to be data driven. How about that, right? So can you give us some simple human answer in terms of data driven when you really deep into data trenches, okay, and you overwhelmed by all the reporting and all the what seem to be good idea? Because if I back my opinions with data, it seemed to be I'm golden. All right, what's the kind of common sense here? Because as we know, data can support whatever argument you're trying to make. All right, so how about that for provocation here, Leon?
Yeah, of course. And I think that well, my personal answer to this is why be data driven? Are you being data driven just for the sake of being data driven, or again realigning to that real business goal and business value? What are you looking to achieve as an organization over the next X amount of time period? Okay, and then as you mentioned, it's about understanding what data you currently have that supports that, how it can be utilized and harnessed to really reinforce that goal. And if you need to go elsewhere to get other data to enhance what you're looking to do. Now, a key point that you did mention is that data can be put together to support any kind of argument. So it's key here to ensure that your data set doesn't have biases in it, to go outside of yourself, to make sure that you're speaking to other individuals within the organization, to really sense check what that data is telling you. And then most importantly is to keep that data updated, refreshed with machine learning, etc. We're all aware of terms like model drift. This is really not a set and forget strategy. One of the key ways I look at this as well is, for example, an organization that sells a product. They can have a set and forget methodology that they want to look at sales for these products in this area, for example, over X amount of time. Now, what happens when they introduce a new product or they move into a new area? Are they just going to negate that data and not take it into account? This is why we need to ensure that our data is fresh, robust, and fit for use.
Leon, yeah, you mentioned briefly governance, okay? Again, that's not the most sexy part of every business, okay? Because we hear governance, we hear processes and roles and management and responsibilities and compliance and all the good stuff out there, right? So can you please summarize for us what's still the most pressing data governance, I would say, points today, all right? Knowing that most companies kind of, acquired the right capabilities, right technology, to handle data governance.
Yeah, of course. And to be honest, companies don't have to. So the thing with governance is understanding what you have to align to. So this could be a marketing department, it could be a sales department, this could be personal identifiable information. Understanding those standards that you need to govern your data against. It could be with internal information. So it could be HR information where salaries can't be shared between individuals, etc. By putting and framing those different constructs around your data, you can then speak to, if you have professionals in your organization, if you have external organizations that you work with. Once you have these business governance rules in place, then you can build those parameters around those rules. Again, governance is something that changes, something that you would like to see fairly automated if it can be. So again, a classic scenario of this is leavers and joiners. Who ensures that that person's credentials are switched on or turned off, and what they have access to whenever they leave an organization or they join an organization. Now, if you have an organization of 1, 2, maybe 3 people, this might not be quite a big manual task for you. If you have 10,000, 300,000 employees, then to do those manually becomes a behemoth task. So understanding what those frameworks that you need to adhere to from a governance perspective, documenting those, building those out, and more importantly, testing that governance is the key to this part of the strategy for me.